she was a teacher.
I quit.
She got her real estate license, still teaching. She didn't want to give it up because of the benefits and everything else. And I think you had a few years left to get your full pension or something,
to get vested
right?
in the pension system.
Vested. Yeah. And I said, just stop, like, just quit now. But as a part-time agent.
Great advice, because then the world shut down. Remember that?
Well, I listen, timing isn't my thing.
Welcome to the Signature Sip podcast, a real estate podcast with myself, John Steingraber, and my beautiful wife, Michelle Pais. Cheers to the beginning of Signature Sip. I feel like now we're back and we have a lot to give. We have a lot to offer.
Till this day, by the way, I have to say, the excitement happens the second I land the deal, not when I get paid. It's the art of the just landing that up.
Right, it's the chase. Not only are we going to be giving a lot of wisdom and knowledge and experiences and stories, but we're going to bring on guests.
I bartended, babe, so something that you and I have in common, even though...
Babe, you bartended for how long?
3 months?
A day or two?
It's a podcast.
So you were like eating a tosta mista in 𝑻𝒉𝒆 bakery.
I think I was having a pastel de nata.
Okay, pastel de nata.
And a galon.
And if you're a realtor, if you're an investor, you're going to want to subscribe to this podcast.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Attention, please.
Like when you're ready, like everybody stops.
We're ready.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Signature Sip episode. Today, we have a very special guest, our very own Melissa G. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Michelle Pais. I'm the co-owner of Signature Realty NJ, and I have my partner next to me, Mr.
I never know how she's going to do the introduction. What's up, everybody? John Steingraber, broker at Signature Realty NJ, and thanks for joining us, Melissa.
Of course.
Melly in the house. So today's topic is from teacher to six-figure real estate agent, and who better than Melissa Gonzales to really represent just a success in the industry. So I have to share with you a story about how Melissa and I got together. So I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, but
You're going to embarrass you?
Yes, Melissa.
Really?
So back in, I think, 2017 or 2018, I'm not sure. I was working with Melissa's dad. Melissa's dad was a mill worker, and he did my custom cabinets in the Westfield office. And his name is Sr. George, which, by the way, I still have you under Melissa Sr. George when you call me. I have you under your dad's name. Right? It's still her name. I still have her on my phone as Melissa Sr. George. So Sr. George says to me, Michelle, I have a daughter, and I want you to mentor her. I said, okay. She goes, she's going to be good. She says, I have this daughter. She's teaching right now, but I want her to get into real estate, and I want her to be like you. I want you to take her under your wing. So I said, okay. And obviously, I respect Sr. George, and he was doing, and I didn't want to disappoint him because I had just hired him to do all my cabinets. So I'm like, sure. I'm like, send me her info. And then what happened was I called Mike Gomes, and Mike Gomes at the time worked on the team. I go, I need you to mentor and Melissa, take her under your wing, because I did not have the time to personally do that, right? And this was going back, 7 years ago, 6 years ago?
It was 2018.
It was 2018. So it was a really...
End of 2018, right. Yeah.
So there Melissa came, and Melissa and Mike, Mike definitely took Melissa under his wing. And then we got to the point where Mike says to me, she's going to be excellent. Like she's ready. And I said, he would never say that to you. No. She's ready. Like, she's ready. Like, she's going to be really good, Michelle. Like, she's ready. And at the time I said to her, Melissa, I need you to quit your job, right? Because she was teaching. Yeah. I need you to quit your job, and I need you to go into real estate before I can have you on the Michelle Pais Group, because I was looking for people that were doing this full time. And plus I know that it's really hard to be super successful at one thing if you wear too many hats, right? And so that was part of the agreement. You quit your job, and then you can hop on board. And the rest is history. Melissa, after how many years in the business?
So I started, 2018 is when I got my license, but I really didn't start till 2019. So what are we, 5 years? 4 years?
So how
19,
long?
20, 21,
We just started 2024.
But so you
5 years.
So you were a teacher making how much a year?
Oh, God. Pennies.
What how much were you making?
I think when I left, I was making 52.
$52,000. And how long were you teaching?
7 years.
7 years, you were making $52,000 a year. And your first year in real estate, I think you surpassed your teacher salary.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you make your first year?
Part-time.
So
So
why don't we go through the actual
through,
process of what happened? So people, because nobody knows Melissa.
Right. Well, this is I told my story. I had to tell this is how I met Melissa. No, we were gonna go back, guys. Pay attention. We're gonna go back. The point of the matter was, she was a teacher.
I quit.
She got her real estate license, still teaching. She didn't want to give it up because of the benefits and everything else. And I think you had a few years left to get your full pension or something,
to get vested in the pension system.
Get vested. Yeah. And I said, just stop, just quit now. But as a part-time agent.
Great advice, because then the world shut down. Remember that?
Well, I listen, timing isn't my thing. But you were doing better as a part-time salesperson than you were
teaching.
As teaching. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So full introduction. Baby, why don't you do the honors?
Mel, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you started in real estate?
Okay.
Why'd you get your license?
So when I graduated high school, right, my dad was like, okay, what do you want to go to school for? What are you going to go to college for? And I was like, I want to go to school to be a teacher. And he was like, the disappointment in his face.
No way.
He was so upset. He was like, what? Why? And I'm like, because it's what I want to do. And he's like, you're going to be broke. And I'm like,
I
okay.
can totally see him say that.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but Dad, money's not everything. It's not, right? We all know that. Money's really not anything. But it certainly helps, right? So he's like, you're going to be broke. You're never going to be independent. You're going to rely on a man or whoever for the rest of your life. Is that really what you want to do? And I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And so
yes, I want to be broke.
Yeah,
and I want to rely on a man for the rest of my life. This is exactly what I want.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Dad. I don't care. This is what I want to do. I'll figure it out. Right. And he's like, all right, fine. So went to college, got my degree, started teaching, and yes, I was broke. My dad, once I started teaching, he was like, he kept already pushing me to do something else. He's like, why don't you do real estate? And I'm like, are you crazy? I'm so bad in math. And he's like, what? That doesn't even matter. Who cares if you're not good in math? You can have a calculator. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it, right? This was just me finding excuses because I'm like, I don't want to do it, right? I'm like, I'm not into it. So long story short, I quickly learned that obviously I was not making a lot of money. I mean, I knew that going in, but I guess I didn't want to accept it or whatever, right? And then as I started teaching, I started to realize, I'm like, wow, I work so hard here and I get paid the same amount of money as every other teacher in this building that's on the same tier, right? First year, second year, whatever. And I feel like I work harder than that person and we get paid more money. And I feel like I might be a better teacher. So I'm like, it doesn't matter how good you are, right? You're still going to get paid the same amount of money.
You're not getting paid for performance.
Right. It's not performance based by any means, right? So unlike real estate. Long story short, I'm like, all right, I have to save money. I have to do this. I have to do that. I was living at home with my parents, right? So I could save money, right? Because I didn't have any real bills other than my car and my cell phone bill. But then I'm like, I can't even buy stuff that I want, right? So then I got a second job. So then I started to do the aftercare program 3 days a week. And that was my spending money, right? So I got tired of that real quick. And I'm like, I still feel like I'm broke. I can never do anything, right? I can't get my own place because, I show them my pay stubs and they're like, you don't even make 2 times the rent. How are you going to pay rent, right? So I started to think about all these things because I'm like, it's so true. If you're a teacher and you're by yourself and rent is so high right now, but even at the time, it's you don't really even make any money at all to live on your own.
And nothing against teachers at all.
No, I have the utmost respect for teachers.
I have so much respect for teachers. I went to school in the beginning. I don't know if you know this, but part of my curriculum was education. I was considering at some point in my life before I decided, okay, maybe I'll go the law route. I was going to be a teacher.
Was that before or after you were a really good bartender?
That was probably during. But then the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute. I did a student teaching
Well, you were like testing different things out.
Yes, and I remember sitting in a classroom full of young kids. I'm like, oh no, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Like I can't, the whole attention span thing. Like
Yeah.
it's just not. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. So I do have a lot of respect for teachers because, you know, you guys are. I mean, you shape us, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I have so much respect for teachers. Obviously, I was a teacher, but it doesn't matter, right? I just
And by
so
the
much
way,
respect and so underappreciated.
The best agents, some of the best teachers make great agents, and some of the best agents do have a teaching background.
Yeah, of some nature, I feel like they did
do,
something
yeah.
in like education.
Yeah.
So yes, I have the utmost respect for teachers. Definitely underappreciated, underpaid,
I think that has a lot
undervalued.
to do with it, right? It's like a thankless position.
Yes.
So thankless. And you know
Yes.
what? It's such a selfless position because I remember there would be so many days where I'm like, I don't want to go to work today, or I had a bad day, like a bad night, or I had a bad morning. And I'm like, do I really have to do this? And it's like the second you step foot into like the building and the classroom, it's not about you anymore. Like it does not
What
matter.
grade did you teach?
Kindergarten. I taught in
Maddie, almost.
You were teacher of the year, the year that
the year
you
before I quit.
the year
Yeah.
before you quit.
Yeah. And that also kind of gave me a push to like be like, I'm out of here, because like, what does it mean? Like nothing. Like you're teacher of the year, like congratulations.
Right. It's
And
a
you get
pat on the back.
like you don't get like any kind of
Rewarded.
like reward or like, you know. And I'm just like, okay, but I still gave it. Oh, it's 100%.
So
Right.
what made you get your real estate license?
So my dad kept bringing it up, and I'm like, oh my God, like you're just the most annoying person. So I'm gonna go get my real estate license. And I'm like, whether or not I do anything with it, that's a different story, but I'm gonna do it. And I did it to appease him, right? And at the time, my sister was like, no, I think he's right. Like, I think you'd be really good. And I'm like, oh, you think so? So anyway, went to school, got my license, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna pair you up with Michelle. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, Dad, like, I'm not ready for that. He's like, what are you not ready for? Like, just do it. So going back to your story, that's exactly what happened. I essentially went into Springfield one day,
right.
and I'm like, you know, my dad was always like, oh, you know, Michelle's great. She's going to be a great mentor. You know, I think you can do this. Like, she's going to teach you everything. Like, don't worry. Like, I think this is going to be great for you. So whatever, we set up this meeting, and I go and meet Michelle, walk into the Springfield office, see Phyllis, and I'm like, who is this lady with this really, like, red hair? And I was like, wow. I was like, hi. But anyway.
And Phyllis's hair is still red.
Yeah. So I was like, hi. So I'm like, hi, Michelle. First time meeting Michelle. I had spoken to her on the phone, but
Were you nervous?
I was just like, wow, she's so pretty. I was like memorized, and like my husband makes fun of me because I don't have like, if I see a hot guy, I don't care. It doesn't faze me. If I see a pretty girl, I stare. And like sometimes like we're at the supermarket and he literally like hits me. He's like, stop.
Can I tell
Because
you,
I'm staring at women.
Can I tell you that I stare at women all the time? I don't stare at guys at all. And we'll be walking, I'll just be like checking out the girl, and John's like, you're staring? I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, at the girl, to see her outfit, her hair, her nails,
Yeah.
like her lips.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
women like to look at other women.
Right.
Okay, doesn't mean that we're bisexual. We just like to.
we just like to look.
We're inspired.
I mean, it's like, yeah, exactly.
Call you bisexual. I didn't. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, I'm not saying that you did.
Right, okay. I'm just.
I'm not saying that
You're
you did
labeling.
that.
I just think it's a little rude when you're like staring somebody down, because I know how, because I see her face and her like, she's got the resting B face, right?
Yeah.
Like
RBF.
She's not like walking around going, like, it's not a gaze like that. She's like,
I don't do that.
yeah.
No, and
it's like that.
that's
And then,
exactly-
And then the woman, if she sees her looking at her like that, she probably thinks like, who is this lady? Like,
Yeah.
do I know this lady? And it happens to her too, because women look at her all the time.
Right.
Guys look at her too, but women look at her.
More.
And I know that they're probably doing the same thing. And then what does she say? She's like, you see that lady looking at me? Yeah. And I'm like, look at that bitch. And I'm like,
Don't say that.
I'm like, she does it. She's just probably doing the same thing you do.
Yeah, exactly. No, mine is.
I don't know how we got on this topic.
But mine is
Well, she
like
saw
I drop.
me?
Well, yes.
Aw.
But mine is like my mouth opens. So my husband sometimes will be like, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. But anyway, so yeah, I was like, oh my God, she's so pretty, right? And she's like, and Michelle's like, oh hi, you know, whatever she said. She's like, hold on one second. And all of a sudden she comes walking in the room with Mike Gomes, and I'm like, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I hate him. Like, I hate him. Like, this is what I thought in my head. And I swear this is such a factual story because after she paired me up with Mike, I waited 2 full weeks to reach out to Mike. And my husband kept saying to me, did you reach out to that guy to start like shadowing him? I was like, no, Joe, I hate him. And he's like, why do you hate him? And I'm like, he was just so like abrasive and like, he was just like, hey, you have kids? Are you married? Okay, when do you want to work? And just so like, and I was like, ew. So anyway, that's true story. I did not like Mike, first impression. But so yes, I paired up with Mike. That was 2018, end of 2018. Really did nothing in 2018. 2019 was my first year part-time. I think I did like 11 transactions or 12. I think 11. I did 11 transactions part-time, and I made more as a realtor than I did as a teacher. So I was like, wow, like that's kind of crazy.
Thanks, Dad. And your dad's probably like, I told you so.
Yeah, exactly.
He probably tells you that every day. I told you.
Yeah. Then in 2020, that was when I quit. And honestly, it was so impulsive. The 2020-2021 school year, I was inclusion. So I was inclusion kindergarten, meaning I had special ed kids as well as general ed kids. But for whatever reason, they always gave me the kids that have behavioral issues. I don't know if it was just like, because I was one of the younger teachers and they thought like, I could handle it. But somehow, miraculously, I got all the behaviors, right? So I had this one little boy, I'm not going to say his name. He was naughty, right? Difficult. That's a better word. Difficult. He had some behavioral issues. And some days were just like really bad. So when I kept telling my supervisor and my principal, like, hey, like I need more help in this classroom because this is happening. And they weren't very receptive to that. So they tried to give me more help, and then like this person like quit or something. I don't know. So I really wasn't getting what I needed to help this one student. And one day he had like a complete meltdown right before art class and caused havoc in my classroom, literally ripped like everything off the walls. And I had other students in there. So it's like really nerve-wracking, like if you're the teacher too, because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to keep all these other kids safe. So I shipped them off to art.
Ship them off.
Yeah, just like, so they went to art and I was on my break, AKA prep period. And I remember I called my husband and I was like, I think I'm going to quit today. I'm like, are you good if I quit? And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you just quit. He's like, do whatever's going to make you happy. And that was like my blessing. And I was like, oh my God. So I sat behind my desk and I typed up my resignation letter. It was December. Right before
I can
Christmas.
imagine a visual of the kid ripping everything off the walls. And
No,
you're just
everything was like a mess. Okay?
I quit.
Yeah, and I'm like, right? And my principal wasn't in that day. Like he was at a meeting. So I went down to the principal's office. He wasn't there. I shoved the note, like the letter, in an envelope under his door. When I went back upstairs. Didn't think about it twice. I was just like freaking out inside. I was like, oh my God, I think I just quit. Like what the hell is happening? And my principal, Dr. Fisher, who by the way was amazing. He's also part of the reason why I probably stayed at the school I stayed at for as long as I did. But he basically was like really surprised. So I met with him the next day or whatever. And they kept me for the full 60 days because they couldn't find a replacement for me. And then my last day was like February, I think it was like February 13th or 14th or the 15th, but right around there. And then a month later, the world shut down. And I was like, great. This is good.
Choices.
Thanks,
Good
Michelle.
life choices.
I was like,
Thanks,
I made
Michelle.
a really
Yeah.
great decision. And I was freaking out for a little while, obviously, because we didn't know where it was going to go. And
It was the best decision you've ever made.
no, I mean, for sure. But at the time, I was like, what the hell is happening?
The timing was weird.
The timing was weird. And all my teacher friends were like calling me up. Pete Moriello was one of them. Like, you messed up. We're all sitting at home and we're still getting paid. And I'm like, great. But anyway, so then I haven't looked back since.
So do you miss being, like, is there anything about being a teacher that you missed or that you miss?
It's kind of like a loaded question.
Of course there's
Yeah, like there's
some things you miss. She doesn't miss the paycheck, that's for sure.
Right, like there's certain things I do miss. Like
I mean, you loved it.
Yeah, like even though, so I'll go back to what I was saying before. Like if you have a bad day, you don't want to go to work or whatever, whatever, right? It's not about you when you're in the classroom, but the kids like actually made you feel better. You know what I mean? So I definitely miss the kids. I miss my weekends off.
There's no such thing as that in real estate.
Right. So there's certain things I miss, but I definitely don't miss the pay. So would I ever go back? Probably not. No.
Yeah. I mean, this year or last year and the year before combined, you did almost close to 100 transactions.
Right. Like there's no reason for me to go back. Even if I have my worst year in real estate, I feel like I would still top my teacher salary,
of course,
regardless.
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
you're
it's
also
a few deals.
Yeah,
Right.
and you're also a hustler. Like you're not the average agent, right? So Melissa's one of the top agents in our entire company.
She's got the work ethic.
You have the work ethic.
And you have the brains.
Yeah.
Thanks to Senor Jorge.
Senor Jorge.
Daddy work ethic. No, we get it. You're Portuguese. I mean, this is what, we are all about work ethic, or we have family or parents. Like, I mean, listen, we've learned from them, like it or not. I mean, they definitely instilled in us values that we both have, and it's a work ethic, right?
Yeah.
We're grateful for them for that, for sure. So what is your big why, and also why are you with us? Why are you at Signature?
Because my dad told me I have to talk to you. No. So I know that for most people, right, when you ask them, what's your why? Like everybody's obvious answer is like, oh, my kids, right? I don't have kids, right? So
Not yet.
But I feel like my why is really like I want to be financially independent, right?
Be
like
free.
Yeah, like that's my why. And obviously I have a husband, right? And I want to know, like in my mind, I can still hold down the fort, right? Like if I had to, if God forbid something happened to my husband and he couldn't work or whatever, like I could hold down the fort. And I know this is probably like unpopular opinion here, right? But like, I think that in society today, there's a lot of pressure for men because they have to, I guess they feel like they have to provide, right, for their families. They have to provide for the house. They have to, whatever it is. And I want to feel like, yes, obviously this is a marriage and we're in this together. And I just essentially like if something happens to him, I got it, right? Like, so I just want to be financially independent, whether or not I'm married or not. It doesn't matter, right?
You value financial security.
Yes. And also,
and you don't want to feel like you have to rely on. So going back to what your father said, Melissa, by being a teacher, you're going to be broke and you're going to have to need a man to support you. And it's almost like now you're at the point where it's like, okay, I'm not broke. I'm not going to be broke. And I don't want a man to support me. So you kind of like flip that.
Yes. And that's exactly what it is. It's like, I don't want to be like that. Right.
Yeah, you don't want to have to. And it's interesting that you say that because it's so interesting that you said that just now, because there are times, and this is just a very small percentage of the times, that I just sometimes sit back and I'm like, I'm tired. Like I've put in so much effort and I'd sacrificed so much, and I've missed so much family gatherings, and Sundays were work days. And sometimes I'm like, all the pressure and everything that it falls on my shoulders when you're the boss. Right. And sometimes I just like, damn, like I just want to be a teacher.
Like you envy a little bit.
I envy the 9
life.
to 5.
Yeah.
Like you get up, you go to work, you leave work at work, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you're out and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And you know what? I can just be a mom and I'm a wife, and you know what? I'll go to work and I just don't have to deal with all the pressures. But then I wake up very quickly. That usually happens when at a moment of frustration. But there are times that I do envy that. So it's interesting because the grass is not greener on the other side, and we all want what we have the perfect life, or I mean, people look at me probably think that I have the perfect, and I do. I'm very blessed. We have a very good life, but still, it's like it's never enough. You almost still. Wish, what if this, what if that? And obviously I wouldn't change my life for the world, but that just hit home what you said, that because for so many years, that's exactly where I wanted to be. I always told myself I never wanted to rely on a man. I'm never going to get married for money. And often too many times I see people get married, sacrifice, settle for people just because they're financially secure. And that was never me. That would never be me. And I had opportunities to marry people or be with people that, are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but I just didn't like them. And that's not me. I wanted to fall in love.
I met one of them.
You're so stupid.
But yeah, that's essentially exactly what it is.
You want it to be independent. You want to do it on your own. You don't want to have to.
That's a great why.
And that is a great why.
But there's also more, right? Because also coming from being, I don't want to say broke, but always having to
living
budget,
paycheck to
budget,
paycheck.
very carefully. It feels so good to be oh, I'm gonna buy these shoes today. Mm-hmm. I don't have to
Do you still have buyer's remorse though? Tell the truth.
I mean, if I spend a decent amount of money, but do you know?
Remorse.
I will tell you one thing. The first designer thing that I bought myself was when I closed my first $1 million deal.
I remember, and you called me.
Yeah,
and you're like, I just bought this.
Because before that, I mean, I'm I can't buy anything.
Wait
That's too much money.
Did you buy a Cartier? Wasn't a Cartier something?
Yeah, my ring.
See how I remember? She's like, I bought it. I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's that, right? I don't want to have to worry about okay, can I spend this $40 right now? Right? So I would say that's pretty much it. It's really just to feel independent and have financial stability, right?
Yeah, and
even
that does
though,
something for your confidence too.
Yes, and even though some people will argue there's nothing stable about being a real estate agent because you don't get a fixed income, obviously. Right. But if you're a hustler,
and you do the work,
you're going to see results.
Right. You see the results.
Yeah, and
that's the good thing about this position and business, right? When you're an entrepreneur, there's the roller coaster of the ups and downs in the markets and this and that. But at the end of the day, you know that what you're experiencing right now is a reflection. It's a direct reflection of you and your actions over the last 90 to 120 days. Mm-hmm. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no ceiling, right?
Exactly.
Real
no
estate, you're here, unlike teaching, you are paid based on performance.
Right. And that was one of the reasons why I was I'm done, because I felt I was, I performed really well. Yeah.
Well, good choice. I'm going to call Senior George right now. Do you think he'll pick up?
Maybe.
Okay, let me see.
I'm sure he will. He'll be like Michelle Pais.
I'm going to put him. He's like,
He's like,
I'm Michelle.
Do you have more cabinets? More cabinets to do.
Yeah.
George.
Your dad's expensive.
Yeah.
When she told me what she paid for those cabinets in Westfield, I was like, damn.
He's not cheap.
It was all worth it because you became a realtor on our team.
See, it was an even trade-off.
Let's see if he picks up. Wait, can you guys hear it? Am I on speaker? Is it on speaker?
Yeah.
He's going to be so... He's like, we on podcast.
Senhor Jorge?
Yeah.
Hi, Senhor Jorge.
Por isso é que tá chovendo hoje.
No. he's in Portuguese saying it's definitely raining. You're calling me. Hi. So listen, we're live on a podcast, and we have your daughter Melissa here, and I'm just telling the story of how she got started in real estate, and I told her that she needs to thank you because it was all your idea. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, but she don't believe me.
No, she's giving you props.
Oh yeah,
yes.
She tries.
Are you proud of her?
Very much.
Aww. And
what do you do?
We're on a podcast, Dad.
Oh, you're on a podcast. I see.
And Mr. Jonathan is here too.
Hello.
Oh, Jonathan too. Oh, how you do?
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Well, we just wanted to call you and tell you that you were right, that she's definitely, made a name for herself, and thanks to you, she met us, and she's doing great. And you have to just, make sure that you tell her that every day. Give her a call every morning and tell her, hey, Melly.
I do, but sometimes she don't pick up the phone.
She's too busy on Zillow calls.
You know what she say?
What?
I call you late. I call you late. I call you late.
Typical realtor.
Yeah.
And her husband say, I'm on the meet. I'm on the other line. I'm on the other line. already know this by memory.
All right, see you, Josh. Well, thanks for picking up. I just wanted to say hi.
Okay, Michelle. Thank
Bye.
you.
Ciao.
Okay, Melissa, bye. Okay, Jonathan. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
He's so funny.
Palmcast. Can we change the name to this episode as
Palmcast.
Welcome to the newest Palmcast?
So I have some other questions for you. So advice to other teachers thinking about getting their real estate license.
Just do it. Like Nike. Just honestly, just do it. There's no reason not to do it. Like, I mean, think about it. Your income is so easily replaced.
Right. It's a few transactions.
Right. It's
People are
not a
just
lot of
scared.
money.
How about this? In honor of Melissa Gonzales, anybody that reaches out to us that is a teacher currently and you want to get your real estate license, we have a real estate school and we will 100% comp the real estate school for you.
Yay.
As long as you tell us you heard this on the podcast, and they'll be under you in the revenue share program. And once you get your license, obviously you have to interview and everything for Signature Realty, but it'll only cost you the $57, I think, that the book costs, but we'll comp the real estate school for you.
And go to Signature.
But you have to mention,
Where do they go?
Podcast.
they could just email me, John, Jon, at signaturerealtynj.com.
And to sign up, go to Signature
Well,
Academy?
no, I need to give them the promo code.
Okay,
I have
so-
to create
Just
a
make the promo code Melissa.
Melissa. No, I'm not going to make it Melissa because we just told everybody what it is. So you have to email me, Jon, at signaturerealtynj.com. If you are a teacher, we will comp you in Melissa's name.
Yay.
Fair?
Fair. I like that idea.
Yeah, that's great. We're going to have a lot of teachers getting
Lots of
into this
teachers.
business. No, that's great. I mean, I do think we actually do have a lot of teachers.
We
We
do.
have a
that are
decent amount.
realtors,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Former
But I think a
teachers.
lot of people, and it's the teachers have a really interesting schedule, right? Like it's not your 9 to 5.
No.
Right? Even though you take homework home and you have a lot of stuff, but you have your summers, right? You get out at, a little bit earlier than your regular job. And not to say that it's not more taxing than the other jobs, but it is definitely an opportunity where you can take advantage of those late afternoons into the evening,
That's what I did.
work, and then have your weekends. And then during the summers, I mean, you have your summers,
Yeah.
right? Unless you took a coaching job or aftercare or something like that. So it's definitely a good opportunity for people to do that. When I see people come in and apply at Signature and they're like, yeah, I have a job and I want to do this part-time. I'm like, okay, how many hours are you working? They're like 60 hours. I'm like, this is going to be tough,
Yeah.
right? You're working 60 hours at another job. Like when you're working with buyers, they want to see houses,
Yeah.
right? And when do they want to see houses? Late afternoon,
On the weekends.
right? And on the weekend. So teachers, that's
Yeah,
perfect
they
for them.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a good
Yeah.
schedule in that sense for
And,
sure.
and I do believe though, if you have a job, teaching, whatever, and you have to support yourself. You have a household that you need to support. Get into real estate part-time. Start doing it part-time. Work the nights, work the weekends. And that's what I did, right? I had a full-time job and I did real estate part-time. When you have enough money saved up from your side hustle, that's when you start thinking about, okay, let me quit my main job and let me just put all my focus, all my energy into real estate.
Yeah.
So I do believe in that, but I do not think it is possible to have 2 full-time jobs. How can you possibly?
You can't.
No, Segro doesn't. He's a teacher and he loves his job. He loves that he has health care. He's got that steady income coming in, which you can't discount that, right? Having a steady monthly paycheck coming in, right? He doesn't have a spouse, right? Where, they're living together and, the other person's like, I got you, right?
Right.
He's doing it, but he makes $100,000 plus per year. And he does it every day when he gets out of school at 2:35, he goes and door knocks for 2 hours.
And a lot of respect for that, but I guess what I'm trying to say, it's not that you can't do it. I think that you would be a lot more successful in real estate if you were doing it full time, because he's still devoting full time to
Yes.
his
Yes.
Of course.
teaching job.
No, I know, but there's also, I always tell people having a job, I know you're always like, take the plunge, just jump.
I am, yeah.
I'm not like that. We have a little bit of a different mentality because I think there is no absolutes, right? Your mindset is just as important as anything else. So if you having monthly income coming in and having your health insurance taken care of, like, God forbid, somebody's like a little bit later in their life and they get sick and they have no health insurance and they can afford to pay health insurance, it's not a good idea to tell them to just quit their job that gives them full health care, right?
Yeah.
You know, if
I
they
can
can
see
still, if they can still do it and then push themselves, you know, to, okay, set a goal. That's what I always say, set a goal. And the goal is twofold. One, it's income, and two is timeline, right? Meaning you're going to give yourself how much time, you know, while you're a part-timer to then go full-time.
Yeah, so that's exactly, well, I didn't give myself time, but that's essentially, you know, you do it part-time and then you make the switch.
Right, and that's what you did.
Right.
You built up confidence,
Yeah.
right? That result gave you momentum.
Yeah.
And you made $80,000 or whatever it was your first year as a part-time agent.
Yeah.
And then you were like, okay, I can do this. If I can do this part-time and make this, what can I make full-time?
Full-time, yeah.
Right? I mean, it makes sense. Can I at least more than replace my health insurance and my income? And the answer obviously was yes. And you've crushed that goal, obviously, many times over. But that's, if people are watching this and they're looking at it, it doesn't mean, you know, quit your job tomorrow.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Of
You
course,
can
it has
start
to
and
make-
you can do it part-time. It just matters on
there's-
how you build your business.
There's two schools of thought in me. I always get more motivated when my back is up against the wall. I feel like, you know what, you want it more, you work harder, because you have to. But that's just me, right?
Right.
No, but that's just you at the time that you made those decisions.
That's right.
Okay. If you had a child,
That's
I don't
right.
think you would have done
No.
that. So if you're talking to a single mom with a kid or two,
Right,
I think
so
that's a
it'd be
different.
different.
If you had two kids at that point and you didn't have somebody to help you with anything,
That's right.
I think
Yeah.
it would be a different story.
Yeah, I'm relating to my experience at the time in my 20s. I was
Exactly.
on my own. I didn't have a husband or a family to support. It was just me. I took the plunge, but I
Right.
also did it slowly. I had a full year of full-time job, you know, getting a salary, and I did part-time real estate part-time. And then
Wait, so you're
eventually-
saying you didn't take the plunge?
No, I took the plunge eventually. I just
Right.
quit.
But you
I
did it part-time first.
But I did it part-time.
Yeah,
first.
so when
Just-
I say just do it, I mean like do it. Like get your license,
license.
and get started,
started.
right? Like don't think, you know,
Don't wait 5 years.
right, whether or not you're like, oh, this might be a part-time thing or it might be a
Yeah.
full-time thing. Your part-time thing can turn into full-time thing. Like
Yeah.
look what happened to me. I was like, whatever, Dad, I'll get my license.
Yeah,
Like
but you know what? Too, some agents, some teachers, and we've had a teacher that got her license and she became an agent. She failed as an agent, and then she ended up going back to teaching too. That's
Yeah.
why I do recommend maybe
Doing,
doing it, being successful at it, and then consider.
Yeah, and I think how you do it, with who you do it, right? There's a lot of agents that fail. Like the other day, we did an indie mastermind. So I invited a bunch of independent brokers, right, that own independent brokerages in New Jersey, and we had an event. There was like 15 of us. And one of the guys asked a question, and he has like 50 real estate agents in his company. He goes, you know, how, you know, we were talking about recruiting and different things and like who's our ideal agent and so forth. And he goes, I don't hire any new agents, right? And he was talking about like why. He's like, you know, we all know that 90% of the agents are going to fail. And I said, you know, our mindset is different, right? Yes. Is it statistically proven that 90% of people that do 100% commission job fail within 2 years or whatever? Yeah, it is. But in what environment?
it's true.
Right? Like if you're looking at the average, if you're an average broker with average training, with average support, with average whatever, yeah, that's probably going to be the case. But I don't look at that because we've hired a lot of new agents and the majority of them have done really well. And it's because of the environment that you put them in.
Very true.
Right? And the culture that you create and how you lead. If somebody doesn't want to do something, you can't force them to do it. But the point is, you know, your environment matters, right? If you take the same people that you put into, you know, a boot camp in the Marines, you take those same kids and you put them in a totally different environment, they might fail. But because they're in a proven system that takes people through a process that has a blueprint and it's proven, those people end up making this transformation. And I think it's the same. So don't listen to the statistics. I share it because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, a lot of 100% commission job, a lot of people fail.
Yeah, but you
where
fail
you go
if you
matters.
allow yourself to fail too.
Failure is not
it's
an
like,
option.
100%.
It's not an option, guys. If you want to do it, if you want to take it seriously, just get out there and put the work in. And you just got to put the work in. And one thing I have been noticing is that people need to be held accountable too. They get very excited, and we come up with the game plan. Okay, this is what we're going to do. And then, you know what? On my follow-up calls, I'm like, all right, did you do this? No, I couldn't do this week. I didn't do this week. It's like, you got to hold yourself accountable, or at least have someone that can hold you accountable.
But you got to have a cadence.
That's right.
And you have to have a why.
That's right.
Right? So I always say there's three things. There's the why, the what, and the how. The what is your vehicle. That's real estate. So if you're going to get your license and you're going to make money in real estate, that's your what, right? You can niche that down. What specifically? $1 million homes in Short Hills, New Jersey. Okay, fine. We can narrow down the niche if we want. But the why matters a lot. And if you have the what, right, and the why, the how comes, right? You figure it out. Like if you really want to do something and you tell the universe, like, this is my objective, this is my goal, and this is why I want to do it, and this is what I want to do, the how comes, right? It's like that saying that they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Very true.
And I believe that. And Mike Gomes was right there for you.
I hated him.
And look at you guys now, besties. So I guess
But how big of a part of your mentorship and success has Gomes been?
Oh, no, for sure. I'll never take that away from him, but I still hate him. No, but yes, for sure.
It's a love-hate relationship.
It is a love-hate relationship. We have a very unique relationship, and I don't think many people understand it. But
Yeah.
But it's also Michelle as well, right? Like I was very fortunate because I was surrounded by people that were willing to help, and I had great mentorship around me. You know. So what were you going to say? Were you going to ask me something?
why Signature?
Okay. That's what I thought you were going to ask me. So why Signature, aside from the fact that my dad basically told me I had no choice? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Really, it was just the culture, right? Like the culture, the training, the leadership, the mentorship, right? I feel like at the time when I started, it was very small.
Right.
I think it was like 65 agents. Right, we're obviously substantially bigger than that now, but and it was a little bit different, right? We didn't have we didn't have everything we have now.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't have all these trainings online. We didn't have all these Zooms. We didn't, so it's certainly improved in that aspect. But at the same time, when I started, because it was small, I also feel like there was people that I can just call.
You got a lot of personal attention.
Exactly.
Right.
So it was really just like, it really is just honestly like the mentorship, the leadership, and the culture. I feel like, you go into the office and it's like a little family, right? We all get along, no drama. It's a fun place to be. I feel like we do a lot of events, which is great. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I think that's the most important thing, honestly, because I'll tell you, if you go somewhere and there's no culture, it's like depressing, right? Like you don't want to be there.
Well, when we were at Triple Play, I was telling her, when we were at Triple Play, there's other companies, like from bigger companies than ours, but they're nationwide and they don't have a local footprint. And like, there's like 50 or 75 of us.
Yeah.
And we're all like rocking our signature gear. We're all hanging out. And then there's like 2 agents from the other company, like wearing their hat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
waving their flag.
Right, just 2 of them. And they're like, wow.
Right. And it's interesting because I think people underestimate that. I think people underestimate that, being surrounded by other people that want you to win, because that's our culture, right? Seek to serve one another.
Yeah.
That want you to win, and we all collaborate and we help each other. And nothing's perfect, right? Our brokerage isn't perfect, but I think we do a pretty good job of making sure that we have the right people in.
Yeah.
And sometimes the wrong people slip through, and we got to get rid of them. But I think
How do you get rid of them?
Cut them out. Cut the cancer.
you send them an email.
You put a note under their door.
In an envelope.
You have been terminated.
No, but that's very true. And that's a very valid point that I probably should have mentioned as well. It's like everybody is seek to serve. So is somebody willing to help. Like I can literally call 20 agents
And
like right now and be like, hey, I need help with something. And I'll be like, sure.
Right.
And that makes me so proud because for those of you that don't know why I started Signature because I wanted to build a company that had a good culture, a collaborative environment. I came from very cutthroat. I hated going to that office. I had I purposely would come in at night when nobody was there because I didn't want to run into people in the hallway. People were mean to you. People were not nice to you. People were not collaborative. People wouldn't even smile to you.
Right.
People would talk about you. I mean, this is my experience.
I can relate to that too. I worked at 2 other offices, and oh my God, like one was just like negative, toxic, shady.
Yeah, like who wants
shady,
to work there?
Like shady shit happening, right? And then another one was just like a funeral home, right? It was just like you walk in there and it's like, oh my God, you know? So I think that has a lot to do with your success, right? If you're going to join a team and you want to win the championship of your goals of your life, right? You got to put yourself in a position, right? You know, that's why they take these kids and they take them out of the normal schools and then they have them join the basketball team that's killing it in the country, right? They make them join that team and they recruit them to that high school and they move, they get up, they move and they go to that state because that's the school that's going to win the championship.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to think about. Like, how can I put myself in a position to win?
And I know agents that are in other offices, right? And, you know, they'll just, they don't like being there. And I'm like, well, why are you there? They're just like, I don't know. Like,
It's comfort. It's just,
you know, it's
That's
like,
what it is. It's comfort. But at the same time, it's
you don't
like,
know what you don't know, and you don't know until you put yourself out there and you just kind of just see what's out there. But culture is just so important. I am so proud of the culture that we have, and you know, and that obviously comes from the top. I mean, really, seek to serve. I mean, you guys, right? You, Mike and George and everyone on, you know, Phyllis.
and all the agents.
And all the agents and everything else.
it's
but
really
that,
like a joint effort.
it's
you know,
just it's
100%.
fantastic. The signature committee and just like I love it. I love what we've built. I'm very proud and Melissa, you're just a testament of you know, a success story. Really, you really are. You're a success story, and I think I have a little bit more. I don't know, just maybe because I see a little bit of me in you, going the teaching route and deciding to get a license, wanting to be independent, not wanting to have to rely on any man. You're Portuguese, like, come on.
Yeah.
So you really are a success story. And no, guys, you cannot recruit her. She has a 20-year contract with us. So don't even try.
Yeah, and that, you know, it's interesting because when I wrote down what is our ideal scenario, what's the ideal person, and you fit that exact mold because you've gotten to the point where you're one of the top agents in the company, right? I think last year you were the top agent.
I think so. Yeah.
Top agent in the company.
She's like, I think so.
Absolutely crushing
She
it.
knows. She's like, yes, I was.
I don't want to.
It's
I don't
okay,
want
you
to
can say
brag.
it.
I don't.
It's okay. You can brag. You can
Over
brag.
$500,000 in GCI, and that was a tough year, right? But not only that, we've had top producers at the company, and some of them are no longer with us, that they didn't fit the mold of the signature culture.
The seek to serve.
And that's, you know, that matters so much because I know that you help agents at Signature when you're in the office and somebody stops you and they're like, I have a question, or we did the deep dive trainings together. You do the podcast with Gom sometimes. Like, a ton of people reach out to you at Signature Realty and you have that seek to serve mentality.
Yeah.
And obviously you understand, like, you know, for support, you're not like, you don't have to do it because we have the support system there. You don't have to do it, but you know, you do what you can because you want to do that and you have that seek to serve mentality as well.
Yeah.
And that's, you can't ask for anything more. As a business owner, you can't ask for anything more than an agent that has the work ethic like you, that has a story like you, and then kind of evolves into a fan of the business that you work for. You treat we've never gotten one complaint from any client, any buyer, any seller, never any issues. And you have that seek to serve culture. And, you know, agents like you is what makes the culture work, right? Because it's not just anybody from on a Zoom training saying, hey guys, our culture is seek to serve, right? It's actually people embracing that and then living it. And that's what you do. So thank you.
This was fun. All right, guys. Well, if you want to learn more about Melissa, her story, sometimes it's important to just reach out to other agents that, because sometimes I feel like I may not be very relatable because I've been doing this for a really long time. And most people, sometimes they can't relate to me at this stage of the game. But with someone like you, I feel like you're maybe a little bit more relatable. And feel free, reach out to Melissa. I'm sure you're happy to speak to anybody, especially if you're thinking of getting into the business, or maybe you're in the business and you're like, maybe my brokerage isn't the right fit. Reach out to Melissa. She is she's all about helping people. So how do people find you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Melissa G _ real estate, or you can give me a call, 908-403-2772.
And if you are a teacher and you are serious about getting your real estate license, we will comp your real estate class, your 75-hour real estate class.
In honor of Melissa.
Yep.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And follow us on the Signature SIP podcast on YouTube and on Spotify. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
See you guys soon.